to 16. And that is good news. That is primarily from Hopkins County, 15. But again, remember, we only know if someone is missing if they have been reported missing. There's certainly stories out there of people still looking for people they care about. We'll go over, especially in Graves County, how you can report if someone is missing. Our best number right now on those injured, 138 Kentuckians went to the emergency room shortly during or after the tornado. We do not have numbers right now on how many remain and or their condition. Yesterday, we had a visit from the President of the United States. You know, we here in Kentucky have felt the love and support of the entire country and of the entire world. You know, walking through it yesterday and actually being able to get further back in Dawson Springs, the devastation is still, I don't know if the right word is profound, traumatic, painful, especially for me, from a town that was your safe place growing up. Here is Mayfield. But we have, despite all that pain, felt the love. President of the United States, Secretary of Homeland Security, the administrator for FEMA, all personally reached out, the vice president and so many others, and they committed. And then we not only saw it in the fastest emergency declaration that I'm aware of ever in the history of the United States and the fastest major declaration ever, the President of the United States, who's got a lot on his plate, came down to see us, to look at us in the eye, and to tell us that not only was he going to be here for the years to come, which is exactly what I needed and we needed to hear, but that he cared about us. The people of both Mayfield and Dawson Springs, I could tell, saw that. People that know my dad well, who were there right in the line of the tornado, getting to talk one-on-one to the president. We appreciate him being here. It showed a level of dedication, and he showed a level of care for us. And I want to make sure that this visit is only viewed the way it should, as support that we are grateful for. And while he was here, he even made some more news. Stepped up doing yet another thing that you almost never see, but it's going to help us even more. On Tuesday evening, I submitted a request to the president for the federal government to cover 100% of the costs of some of the specific costs of recovery from the tornadoes for our first 30 days of digging out. I did this hoping, but knowing even the 75-25 share, which is what it normally is, with the federal government paying 75% and the state and the county really splitting the 25%, the county pays a little bit more, but knowing that's hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. And so we asked for what would almost be the unthinkable. Can you, the federal government, just pay for all of certain costs to help us? On Wednesday, the president told me personally, the answer was yes. He actually said when the request came in, he didn't know if he had the legal authority to do it. And turns out he did. And he said yes to me in person in the Princeton airport. The 100% cost share will cover assistance for debris removal, emergency protective measures, and direct federal assistance. That is going to be a huge amount of money. And that's going to free up other dollars for us for the months and the years to come. It's going to give us the tools we require to help and to dig out. You know, in Mayfield, there was something therapeutic about not only having the streets been cleared, which they have been, but actually watching. And I saw this in Bremen too. The chaos, the devastation being put into a dump truck and taken out of town. That was special in Mayfield. We're not seeing as much yet in Dawson. I know it's picking up. And this is going to help cover all of that. You know, I look forward in the weeks to come when, while we won't have rebuilt, that people can walk down their streets without rubble on the sidewalk, where they can get a better picture of what things can look like as we move forward. Whether it was yesterday's visit or this new 100% coverage, federal government has done absolutely everything that we have asked them to do, and we've asked for some things that were hard for them to say yes on. Got a number of other updates. Just a few more pieces that Director Dossett will cover on the 100%. Eligible applicants are not only state government, but local government as well. It's funded through the Public Assistance Grant Program. After 30 days, the cost share reverts to the 75-25. I can guarantee you we're going to be asking for something different there when we reach it. In other great news, FEMA is on the ground. I think between what they have helping us in Frankfurt and on the ground there, over 700 people. I think it's one of the biggest, most robust responses that we have seen. And they are walking house to house, though the houses aren't standing. And already processing claims. Online, and I'll go how to do it, or with people walking around. We've already have 5,500 registrations in the system. And I can't believe this, but they've already made payments from FEMA. We've got at least $550,000 that have gone out the door. We're on day 6. There will be millions that go out the door, but it is incredible. I was surprised when I heard this morning that money is already going out the door. That is really special. Let's show the slide about ways that you can sign up for disaster assistance. And Director Dossett's going to go over this again. First, there's disasterassistance.gov. It's available 24/7. We have seen significant signups on it. It can be used to register for disaster assistance, but also to check your application status, which you can in real time. Okay, there is a slide that goes through the 3 different ways to do it. One is the, hold on just a second. We'll go over the second part. If you can't get online, you can call these numbers, 1-800-621-3362 or 1-800-621-FEMA. It's available 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Sunday. Live agents are available to help you begin your claim. They will help you over the phone. And then there is the FEMA mobile app that you can download. It's available 24/7. You can get it through both the Apple App Store and Google Play. It can be used to register for disaster assistance, check application status, and you can even upload different documents that you would need. Additionally, FEMA has registration intake centers open. So you can go online, disasterassistance.gov. You can call these phone numbers. You can also download the app. You can talk to a person walking through the neighborhood. They all have iPads. They're taking the pictures that you would otherwise have to take if they're there, or you can go to any of these locations. In Hopkins County, the FEMA Mobile Registration Intake Center is at 960 Industrial Park Road. That's in Dawson Springs. It's 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and that's because there's a curfew there. This is when people can come in and help people. In Graves County, it is at 1102 Paris Road in Mayfield. Again, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Muhlenberg County, I think we're going to be able to handle through the canvassing. It's a small town hit really hard. I'd say I was really impressed by the mayor, by Curtis, our county judge, who I've known forever, former sheriff, their fire department, and everybody else. I mean, they've got so many people out there helping other people. It was really special to see. And in Warren County, it is at 2565 Russellville Road in Bowling Green, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. On social media, we will get a listing of those locations up. All right, as an update on our state parks, we have opened them up to take our people in. And as we walked around, as Brittany, who's over here, I keep looking over, walked around both. Question we'd always ask people is, where are you staying? And if they were sleeping on somebody's couch, we were telling them, come to our state park and let us take care of you. I got to speak to some people that are out at Penny Ryle, and they said they're taking great care of everybody out there. So we announced that our state parks would provide a minimum stay of 2 weeks for anybody displaced by these tornadoes. And by 2 weeks, I was trying to make sure that everybody knew they didn't need to worry about tomorrow. Today, we're extending that minimum to 4 weeks. In the very least, we'll house you a month. And listen, if there's somebody who has a reservation, whose house has power and they're warm, if we have to, we'll cancel their reservation. For those of you that don't have that warm home to go home to right now. Right now, we are housing 610 displaced Kentuckians and 176 first responders. We do have room for some more. We have 9 rooms available in Kentucky Dam Village. They've got 89 displaced Kentuckians and 155 first responders. Ken Lake, we have 12 rooms available. We got 146 displaced Kentuckians and 8 first responders there. At Lake Barkley, we have 1 room available. That's got 212 displaced Kentuckians, 13 first responders. This is where we moved an entire shelter there. I think when Secretary Berry first contacted the minister, he thought it must be a scam because we were going to take in that many families and provide them stable housing. Pretty special, and I want to thank that congregation for helping those people. At Barron River Lake, we have 40 rooms available. They're helping 21 displaced Kentuckians. At John James Audubon, 4 rooms available, helping 9 displaced Kentuckians. Hey, at Penny Ryle, we have 1 room available, which must have opened up, meaning somebody's got kin that have taken them in. We have 129 displaced Kentuckians. We got a lot going on out there, which is pretty special. At Penny Ryle, the police department for the city of Morganfield coordinated a gifts and a Santa visit. I think they're going to see Santa more than a few times at our state parks. And a special thanks to T-Mobile for donating cell phones with 30 days of unlimited talk, text, and internet. Sinking Fork Church also provided lunches for families out there. And then at Rough River Dam State Resort Park, we got 44 rooms available. We're currently housing 4 displaced Kentuckians. I think that we got a lot of volunteers too that are out there. These aren't just our state employees taking care of folks. We got as many folks as we have asked for that have come and helped out. A little bit on some other pieces. On the transportation cabinet side, we believe most all roads in every displaced area are now cleared enough to get through. Just from Graves County alone, the transportation cabinet has taken 1,300 loads out of Mayfield. There's more than 600 transportation employees working hard on this every day. Division of Forestry still out there with 29 employees doing the sawing work and 2 bulldozers helping out. Our National Guard presence, now over 600 deployed. I think it's about 530, 531 in the impacted counties. Our mission is changing. It's now primarily augmenting law enforcement, preventing looting. And if you are somebody out there that would even consider looting someone's home that's lost everything, shame on you. We will find you. We will arrest you. That is absolutely despicable. They're also doing wellness checks and helping with traffic control. Over 1,200 state employees and Guard combined in these areas. KSP on the ground in the areas, about 100. and they are verifying and accounting for people who are missing. Thus far, they've verified and accounted for 90% of the employees from the MCP candle factory. And right now, the information that the company has given us is correct. That would suggest just 8 lost in that factory, which is a miracle, is an absolute miracle in this disaster. I will tell you, I was almost certain that the number would be 70, but thank God others either left or escaped. It was feared much, much worse. Absolute miracle. KSP continues to conduct welfare checks on behalf of family members and loved ones. KSP is asking, we don't need that. KSP continues to use rapid DNA technology to assist in the identification of victims. Again, we need any family members of missing persons to come to where they're doing this, His House Ministries, between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. today, any day, to submit DNA. Okay. A couple other things on helping people with services. I signed an executive order waiving fees for disaster victims needing to replace lost operator licenses, permits, and state ID cards. That means there will be no fees as we are able to replace those. Transportation Cabinet will be setting up temporary credential issuance station. This is going and getting your permits and your licenses in Mayfield at 355 Charles Drive. So you need that driver's license replaced, your real ID replaced. 355 Charles Drive. 2 pop-up driver's licensing units will be ready by 8 a.m. Monday, December 20th, and will operate each business day through the first week of January. Also, we will have a temporary driver's licensing station in Dawson Springs when the location is identified. No transportations hauling food and water from FEMA to impacted areas. Again, all state routes are passable. 70% of county and city routes in and around Mayfield are now passable. So a very good job there. We have a lot of different power numbers. I'm going to let Michael Dossett give his in a minute. It's really hard, though, because we can restore the main power lines, but then there are still so many that are out there. The TVA has been doing really good work. Their overall power system remains stable and secure. They have restored power to 18 customer connection points. Western Kentucky Rural Electric Cooperative, Murray Electric System, Benton Electric Service, Glasgow Electric Plant Board, Lexington Electric Service, that's in Tennessee, Pennyrile Rural Electric Cooperative, and Gibson Electric Membership Corporation. Still working on Mayfield, but just because you are able to restore power to those cooperatives, still the connection points between them and houses in many places has to be rebuilt. Looks like they got at least 21 crews, 160 individuals out there with more contractors than that. Team Western Kentucky Relief Fund, now $15.9 million with over 93,000 donations. We are providing the first set of funds, which are going out the door to cover funeral expenses. Nobody has to apply. We're contacting the individuals directly. One of the next areas we're going to look, which is really important, is how we can help some uninsured homeowners. If you know Dawson Springs like I do, or Mayfield like others do, in these and other areas, it hit neighborhoods of people that were already struggling to get by. And it's not that they didn't want to have homeowners insurance. It's that they couldn't afford it. And so we're going to look at using this fund to help, because the individual assistance from FEMA, we're going to look for all different sources, is capped at $37,900. And that can go, if you're insured, above your insurance. But for those that don't have it, that's not going to be enough to rebuild. So we're going to look at how we can augment those families with this fund. Those that are already struggling shouldn't be struggling more after this thing is over with what they have already gone through. I'll tell you what, we got a couple of other updates on unemployment insurance and others, but after that, Brittany, I think we could use some really good news if you'll continue to update us on how these kids who've been through the worst are going to have the very best Christmas in the history of Kentucky.
Good afternoon. As First Lady, I was left speechless at the heartbreaking images of entire communities left grieving after this natural disaster. But as a mother, my heart ached, especially for those youngest Kentuckians among us, for whom the holidays are a particularly magical time of the year. So on Monday this week, I announced we're teaming up with our number one partner, Santa Claus, who's going to help us launch the Western Kentucky Toy Drive. It's an effort to collect new unwrapped toys, books, games, electronics, and $25 Visa or MasterCard gift cards for the children of Western Kentucky. This morning, I visited Broadbent Arena in Louisville, which is our largest donation hub. I was overwhelmed and left speechless. It's incredible the way that people have responded to this call. I was delighted to be able to help load some of the boxes with toys that had been donated. There were volunteers there who, there was one elderly woman who had gone yesterday to drop off toys, and she's still there. She is still helping to unload and sort toys. Just while we were there, I think 3 trucks full of Amazon deliveries showed up, as well as a semi. I'm speechless. These children and their families just deserve it, and it's so heartwarming. So while we are still collecting toys, we have to shift from the collection to the delivery of these items. Specifically, we are in need of gift wrapping supplies, as well as more $25 Visa or MasterCard gift cards, and items for older kids and teens like electronics, video games, athletic gear, and bikes. And of course, books and art supplies are always needed as well. We will continue to accept donations until Saturday, December 18th. If you are able to contribute, please visit firstlady.ky.gov/toy drive to find the location nearest you. And I think it's also important to remember that every donation counts. It is not too small or too large. There will be a child with joy because of your thoughtfulness. These tornadoes and the loss they inflicted would have been devastating regardless of when they happened, but the proximity to the holidays just somehow makes it a little more painful. To everyone who has contributed so far, to the staff and the volunteers who have made this effort possible, thank you.
I may have said this yesterday or the day before. As we were learning that tens of thousands of gifts were coming in, I said to Brittany, after Christmas this year, what are the parents going to do next year? And she said to me, these kids didn't just lose their Christmas toys, Andy. They lost all their toys. So let's shower them in gifts. All right, let's turn to Director Dossett's update, and then I've got some things specifically for Kentuckians in the area, including some assistance with unemployment since their places of business will be down. But as he's coming up, I've been asked by businesses all over the country how they can help. And they have helped in so many different ways, from supplies to unprecedented amount of dollars. But let me just say this. We're going to lose a lot of businesses in the area, and there's going to be a rebuilding process. The number one thing any company out there can do is commit to putting up a new facility, a new office in Mayfield, in Dawson, in Muhlenberg County. These are areas that we hope the jobs will come back. But you want to talk about providing a huge ray of hope. We can work with you in economic development, but talk about seeing a brighter future in front of you. So those looking to help out there that are already planning to put some new facility somewhere, really think about the impact that it'll have on this community, knowing what might be out there and available to them as they get their home back up, as they get their kids back in school. They want to know that there's a good job that they can head to too. Director Dossett.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. Let's start with the warning slide first. So just a little historical reference. You can see the track here of the tornadoes, and these are the main tracks. Each one of these colored boxes are NWS warnings, and they come in a variety of different patterns. The most severe are obviously tornado warnings or severe weather warnings, and you can see the tracks that they have taken. These began, and I'm only showing you the warnings from 0 hour, which was somewhere around 8:30 p.m., all the way through the end of the storm track. And during that period alone, there were 92 NWS warnings put out all over the state. And they ranged from radar indicated tornadoes to severe weather to squall lines and flash flooding. So this is the impact area and how wide this was. The next slide indicates some of the tracks, and it only indicates two of the main tracks. The National Weather Service is still looking at the impact. They just upgraded the main storms, 3 of the main storms. The main track was now found to be an EF4 at 190 miles an hour. That is a remarkably powerful storm. And as you can see the results from all the video and the coverage of Ground Zero. Moving into some of the impacts that we're now working toward. So total declarations, there are 23 counties that have declared during the storm. And cities are Bowling Green, Cave City, Horse Cave, Munfordville, Park City, Princeton. This is just a preliminary list, and these are just the data that we have in the system right now. The search and rescue efforts have moved from concentrated efforts to wide area searches. And this is just to ensure that no area has been left untouched. Moving into the power, really good news. Again, and I've talked about this during all of the briefings, the power company is extraordinarily efficient at restoring power. It is just the conditions they find when they enter the state. So currently we have only power outages at 3,280 connections. I will tell you that 2,000 of those services cannot be restored, and they will not be restored for weeks and weeks. And that's a very small area, and most of it is Ground Zero in Mayfield and some in Dawson Springs. But it's a very low number that we'll still struggle with, and the generators will certainly be an option. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has installed the generator. It's a large generator at Dawson Springs, and that's working well. We also have good news with water and power systems. There are about 2,600 service connections with customers at about 18,000 that only have boil water advisories. We have a bit of good news, and it comes slowly, but it's coming. In Dawson Springs Water Treatment Plant, at 11 a.m. this morning, it was totally restored to power, and that's a big celebration. Next slide on cost share, please. So just a little bit about the relationship and the partnership between Governor Beshear and the president. We've talked about this the day of the event. We were recipients of an emergency declaration. The second day, we received an expedited declaration. The third day, we added an additional 20 counties. And as we moved through the president's visit, the paperwork was signed at the state level and sent up through the FEMA level, but had not reached the president yet. And he verbally declared, after he sought permission from Administrator Criswell, the bottom line is this is unprecedented response. He cut through the red tape, and Governor Beshear pushed it the entire way. The 100% cost share is an unusual declaration. It is not uncommon in hurricane events and some tornado events. It lasts for 30 days. It is an immediate opportunity to get reimbursement for 30 days. And it involves one of the largest expenses and one of the largest reimbursement opportunities for this entire disaster, and that's debris removal, along with emergency medical, emergency protective measures. So FEMA's on the ground in our hardest hit counties. They currently have 400 personnel on the ground across the Commonwealth in all of the counties that have been hit. And they're expanding that footprint. There'll probably be, by early next week, there'll be 700 folks of all federal teams. FEMA's not the only team on the ground. And just to name a few of those, it is the USDA, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Defense, including the Army Corps of Engineers, the Department of Energy, and the Federal Law Enforcement Bureau. We're getting opportunities and responses from the entire federal umbrella, and that's important to remember. We have requested and been granted what's called a Delta food package. This is 30,000 meals per day delivered every 3 days. And this is the daily output of what a large area disaster, and those are being allocated in most of our major cities. So this will go on. This request has been filed and will go on for 30 days. FEMA also has opened the mobile registration centers. The governor talked to you about those locations. And there are three ways you can register, certainly online, a telephone number, and then the mobile centers will be announced. We're not giving out all the locations currently. It takes a few days for them to travel from other parts of the country. We'll be putting many of those mobile centers into the impacted areas, and we'll publish a schedule as soon as it's available. So FEMA's also providing us tarps, COTS generators, infant kits, and pandemic shelter, along with water. Basically, what happens during this process is FEMA ships from Atlanta or one of their large warehouse areas down to Campbell or Wendell Ford. We then take possession of the commodity, and then we move it to a county staging area, and they distribute it in pods. It is a very succinct process. It works in every disaster. So that is currently underway. We have 10 shelters now open. They have about 500 of our citizens in there. The Red Cross has provided more than 40 products to hospitals in the impact areas. The Rubicon slide, please. So this is a success effort, and this is the roofing slide. Team Rubicon responds to disasters all over the nation. They respond to state requests and have done so a number of times, but this is an unusual request for them because Jeff Byard is their COO. We're good friends from the time that Jeff was in leadership in FEMA. He's taken over this position. He actually goes on site. The long and the short of it is they have tarping crews in our major areas right now. They're in Dawson, they're in Mayfield, and they're in Bowling Green. So this is just a photo of one of their crews. They do two types of tarping. One is emergency roof tarping, where you'll see them cover the roof as they're doing now. And the other is salvage tarping, rain's coming. And what they do is they essentially help the homeowner gather all their belongings, and then they tarp all the belongings, because many of these residences that were on the curtilage of the main impact area where the entire home is destroyed, Those that are on the edge have varying different levels of damage, and that includes open rafters that some of them can't take tarps. So they'll go in and protect all the belongings for temporary periods, and they tarp it all and then wrap it. Doing great job. So Team Rubicon will be moving to other counties as we move on. We also have heavy equipment teams out there, along with cut and toss teams that clear debris. So I'll talk a little bit about EMAC support. EMAC is the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. Every state is a member. We have requested EMAC teams from a number of our state partners. This is a routine operation. Quite frankly, in the past, in most of the years that I've been here, we are the state that is sending teams outbound to other states in need in our region or on both coasts. In this opportunity, obviously, we have a need. We've advertised EMAC missions, and we currently have 8 teams responding to the Commonwealth. Some are on the ground. We have IMT teams from Florida. We also have a volunteer assistance liaison, and that's for donations that will be doing the state overview for donations and commodities. We have teams coming from South Carolina that will do EMAC management from us, and additional teams for donation support. The National Guard is on the ground, obviously, and they're doing debris removal, law enforcement augmentation, and traffic control and security across our impact counties. So I'd like to finish up with the last slide. There is always some additional problematic news during disasters. This one involves weather that's inbound. So we're looking at a weather event over Western Kentucky, and it includes the Mayfield area. They're experiencing moderate and light showers right now to 6 p.m. Heavy rain begins at 2 a.m. Friday morning, and it goes all the way through 10 a.m. And you can see the outputs there. The initial part of it is up to half of an inch, and through Sunday morning, all the way through the 3-day period, is up to 2 inches. That's not what we want, but there's a lot of tarping operations going on. And that concludes my update for today. Thank you, Governor.
It's not right that people who've had their homes knocked down and are trying to salvage it are now having all this rain on top of it. It's not right. All right. Other ways that we're looking to help people. Disaster unemployment assistance application we have sent to the U.S. Department of Labor. It is pending approval. Field locations for UI services, because people aren't going to have a place to go to work in many instances for a while, are being established at Mayfield. That's at the Walmart location. So the Mayfield Walmart, the McCracken County Library, the Trigg County Library, the Butler County Library, the Hardin County Library. In Bowling Green, we're directly in the GM plant. 4 staff started working there on December the 15th, and we're looking at further coordinated locations with FEMA for better services and deliveries. The teams established are ready to go, pending final approvals from the federal government, and we're hoping to streamline the ID verification process to facilitate claims and get payments. I'm going to be working on getting a waiver for the waiting week, because they'd have to wait a week. Wouldn't get paid from anywhere if their employer has had to lay them off, as well as work search requirements for at least a portion of the coming weeks or months, because we want them to rebuild in that area. We don't want them to leave Mayfield or Dawson or Bremen. And so, these are steps that we need to take. They'll likely have to be done by executive order in the short term. Okay. Kentucky Occupational and Health Compliance staff is in Mayfield to address worker safety and health issues. Wage and hour compliance staff are going to be working with US DOL for anything that arises. Department of Workers Claims has identified and spoken with 2 insurers that'll be involved with the workers' compensation claims related to the candle factory. Both are accepting claims and thus far are responsive to those claims. Total insurance claims reported as of 10 a.m. today, 9,145. And it's hard to estimate how many folks are also uninsured. And remember, we have both homeowners and renters that would be potentially insured or uninsured for the value of their home and their belongings, or what is in their apartment or rental unit. There is the same amount of assistance generally for renters as there is for homeowners from FEMA. And in fact, there are situations where you may qualify for both, depending on what your timeline looks like on rebuilding. But Department of Insurance response teams are being set up in Graves, Hopkins, Warren, and Muhlenberg. We will update once that comes online. They're going to make sure that these insurance companies are treating people fairly. Let's see. I believe that may be, oh, no, we got a couple of other, again, things we're trying to do to help people. So this week, we were also able, following the federal disaster declaration, to get the IRS to extend the 2021 tax filing and other deadlines from April 15th to May 16th. And our Kentucky Department of Revenue will honor this special tax relief for individuals and households affected by the severe storms, tornadoes, and flooding who reside or have a business in Caldwell, Fulton, Graves, Hopkins, Marshall, Muhlenberg, Taylor, and Warren. That'll allow affected taxpayers until May 16th to file their income taxes and submit payments for individual income tax, corporate income tax, their withholding, or the limited liability entity tax. Means certain deadlines, quarterly payments, as well as the one for 2021 income tax returns will be postponed for the affected taxpayers. Again, I mean, at a time like this, you can't expect people to have the documentation needed, and so we're extending those deadlines. The President's federal disaster declaration also makes Kentuckians in those 8 counties eligible for a refund of Kentucky sales and use tax paid on the purchase of building materials permanently installed in the repair or replacement of structure damages in the 8 counties covered by the disaster declaration. So as you're rebuilding, if you are directly paying for building supplies, make sure you document those. You could get up to $6,000 in relief from sales tax per building. We'll put this out by a separate press release. We're increasing, and this is within the state, to qualified residential treatment care programs that serve children that have been struggling during COVID. These are places like Maryhurst and others. We have found a way to increase the funds that are provided to them to help them as they are making it through this pandemic. Some were struggling so much they were looking at shutting down. We'll have the direct information in the release. We are hurting, and we're still hurting. And it continues to be very painful. But we are not broken. We are not broken, even when it feels like it. We will clear this chaos and death from our towns, and we will rebuild our structures and our lives. And just like every person I talked to yesterday, the day before that, including on Saturday, I'm not going anywhere, and this state is not going anywhere. We got a great commitment from the federal government that they're going to be with us too. Every step, every week, every month, and every year that it takes, we will get each one of these communities rebuilt. This is very personal to me, and we're going to make sure that it happens. All right, with that, we'll open it up to questions. I think we have 4 journalists here and a bunch on the line. So let's start with Tom.
Thank you, Governor. Two things that just came to mind is the state going to be developing a website to link all this information. You gave a lot of things on a lot of different topics today. So we'll be doing that.
We should. It's a great suggestion. We're building this airplane while we're flying it, but we should centralize all this information, what's available to an individual that's been through the horrific, and then we need to get it out in paper too to some of the facilities out there to help them as we move forward as much as we can on some of this stuff. I hope we can set up in one location. It's just there's not one big location left in most of these places, and there's so many people helping. I mean, we got 1,200 garden state employees, and you look at 10,000 people typically in Mayfield, and 3,700 in Dawson, and 370 in Bremen, and then put all the FEMA people on top and all the rest. We have about as many people helping as we do that live in these places, and God bless them.
And my main question was, I see you issued an executive order on livestock disposal.
Yeah.
Can you describe the?
Yeah, so there is a statute or regulation about the amount of time that you have to do away with, clean up, destroy dead livestock. It's primarily dealing with disease, and we think it probably only applies to that. But there was concern that it could apply in this situation as well, and there are so many dead livestock that we know it's going to take more time. We are listening directly to our farmers. We know that there's going to be some long-term needs too. It's a farming community. You know, where do they get their feed from? Who do they typically sell to? What have the losses been there? So one of the early calls I made was that we needed USDA on the ground, and the federal government sped up how quickly that happened. Still working through all the rest of the needs, working directly with judges and their folks. We're going to find a solution to every concern. Carolina?
The number of people missing has dramatically gone down, which is great.
Mhm.
Does this help the state kind of figure out where our death toll will stand, or is there really no way
Yeah.
to figure that out at this point?
So every day that passes, the range of our death toll becomes more certain, and the likelihood that we will have significantly more death lessens. I am hearing at least rumors that we will add one today, and perhaps someone unexpected. Our number missing requires someone report them missing, and so there may be more that are out there. I hope that additional deaths that we see will be in single digits. They could come from people that we find. They could also come from people who are currently hospitalized, though every day that passes that the number doesn't go up or go up significantly is a good day, all considered. Certainly as we get now some pretty close to certainty on the candle factory, that means our toll is first much less than I thought it would be. I thought we were going to lose about as many people in that factory as we have overall. So it's I think we're getting closer and closer to what that final number will be. Phil.
Governor, do you have any thoughts about the litigation that's been filed about the candle factory, the allegations that workers were forced to work with the tornado on them?
Yeah, I know litigation has been filed in the candle factory, but I don't have any independent knowledge of any of the allegations that are there. I did see it, and I've never seen anything like the total wreckage and steel and I mean big trucks that I say they're on the roof. The roof wasn't there. By the time I got there, and this is just an hour after daylight, there must have been 8, 10, 12. It's hard when you're trying to take it in. Backhoes and heavy equipment trying to pull things off of it. I mean, it's a miracle we only lost 8. I don't know what happened in there that night. I do know it was hit directly by one of the most powerful tornadoes I think we'll ever see on record. Lawrence.
First, a quick
Clarification, the 75 number today, is that one more than yesterday? One above yesterday?
Yes, it adds that individual in Bowling Green that is reported to have had a heart attack in the cleanup.
We heard the president's public comments. Can you give us some insight into the private conversations you had about
Sure.
Litigate Kentucky?
The president was very caring from the moment that he landed. I think he from our private conversations, two things were clear. Number one, that he genuinely cares, and that was evident. And it was evident when the Secret Service was trying to get him to go this way, and there was a family over that way, and it was absolutely clear. And second, that there is a full commitment by the federal government, even to do things that they've never done before to help us. We have gotten a yes on virtually everything that we've asked for, and the speed at which we've gotten them is incredible. So to him, to our FEMA administrator, to our Secretary of Homeland Security, and everybody in between, the federal response could not be better than it has been. Al Cross.
Thank you, Governor. It was quite an eventful day yesterday. And aside from getting 100% federal funding for 30 days, what other surprises did you have yesterday?
Yesterday? First, there were really tough moments yesterday. I had not been able to get that far back into Dawson Springs, and it was even worse than I could tell. And it was painful. But to also see the number of people that would say that they are blessed to be alive was pretty special. And remember, in this, 8 blocks in any direction, nothing standing. Everybody that is sorting through the rubble knows each other. And, it's, I said before, the trauma kind of seeps into your skin. But I will say that having the president there and especially in Mayfield created an energy. And you know what? I was just happy for one day, because it had been 5 or 6 days, for just one day since this happened, that there seemed to be this really positive energy. The president of the United States was there. I'm not sure I expected to feel that. And you could see it on people's faces. There's a woman who said he's in Mayfield. And I think that was the feeling. Whether or not you voted for him or you voted for me, we're both trying to do our very best for you. And I could absolutely see that the president coming to Mayfield and to Dawson Springs. I said yesterday, I never thought I'd get to introduce a president of the United States. I never thought I'd get him to Dawson Springs, but by God, I wish it was for different reasons. Jack Bramer, Herald Leader.
Yes, Governor, of the 138 Kentuckians injured, where did most of them occur? Do you have a county by county breakdown of the injured? And do you know how many were injured in the Mayfield candle factory?
I think that the last number I had is that there were 17 people hospitalized from the Mayfield candle factory. I do not have and that was yesterday. I think I got that information. If I got it the day before, I apologize. It's all, it's been a lot the last couple of days. Generally, Hopkins County area, 21 of those. I think we had one person in Kenton and Logan. Graves County area, it's so people would be transferred. Probably 24, those would be there, 26, 52-ish, I think, in the Graves County extended area. Those include hospitals in Paducah. Taylor Regional had at least 12 who were there, if not 13. One in Frankfurt here 1 in Georgetown, 5 in Owensboro. So this made impacts in different places. Well, let me back up. 22 are down at Vanderbilt, and 6 in Union City, Tennessee. So add another 30 on to, so over 100 from Graves County, I think is what we're pretty close to, though Hopkins and Graves are close enough to where you could also be transferring some people who are hurt in Dawson down to Vanderbilt. That's the best I can do, Jack. Karen Czar.
Thank you, Governor. Governor, could you talk a little bit more about unemployment? There are already people online who are worried, saying they're afraid they're going to end up in some endless loop like we saw in the pandemic. Is there anything you could say to ease their concerns? Thank you.
I'm going to say that we're going to have people in person in each of these counties processing your claims in front of you. We're going to get it done. We're absolutely going to get it done. Piper Hudspeth Blackburn, Associated Press.
Hello. Thank you, Governor. My question has to do with cleanup. Is Karen Czar still? Can you hear me? I don't see my.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, how long is this initial stage of cleanup supposed to last? And what do you say to those Kentuckians who sort of feel like the damage is insurmountable and it might last forever? Thank you.
Yeah, the cleanup is going to take time depending on the structure that we're talking about. And if you've seen it, it'll take at least weeks. If we can do it in weeks, it will be incredible. I believe that we'll be hauling debris out of some of these locations for up to a month. Director, you have any other thoughts? Okay, Director Dossett.
So thank you for the question. This is going to be one of the largest pieces of the recovery. In fact, as I leave this briefing, I'm going back into a meeting with FEMA and our other federal partners to flesh out the debris removal plan. We're going to hold webinars in the next days, possibly one tomorrow. We'll announce that. Debris removal is one of the most important pieces because this is part and parcel to rebuilding, not just the city infrastructure, but for all of our homeowners. So you'll hear more about this, but again, please allow us to manage expectations. This is a long recovery, and the process to put all the programs on the road, as you can see from the governor's relationship with the president, the actual personnel are on the ground immediately, and they're all working in that direction. So we're moving very quickly. The plan will be announced very shortly. And then after the plan is announced, counties and the state and the federal government will all come together. There'll be contractors that each county can engage. We also have federal assets and state assets that are working toward that.
From being on the ground, it also depends on which place we're talking about. Bremen had dump trucks up and down the road. They were able to bring in from Muhlenberg County, already loading up. A huge death toll given the population of the area. Fewer structures overall in the city. Their debris removal is going to go a lot faster than Dawson, which is huge numbers of homes, Mayfield, which is huge numbers of homes and really big government buildings. So it is ongoing, and a lot of it will depend on the level of resources as they continue. We're going to have every resource from the state. We're going to have every resource from the federal government. We got a lot of great volunteers that are out there right now too. Debbie Yetter, Courier-Journal.
Hi, Governor. If I could ask about COVID-19 for a minute. With Omicron spreading rapidly in more than 30 states now, has it been identified in Kentucky? And are you all worried about spread in this area affected by the tornado, with people possibly more crowded together, routines disrupted, and so forth?
Yes, worried about spread in the area of the tornado. One of the reasons we're trying to get people out of a shelter and into a state park is we can create a little more distance. We can also give them a room of their own. I have not been notified of our first case of Omicron, but it's here. It's unquestionably here. It's already everywhere, and the speed is significant that it doubles in. The question of what it's going to lead to all depends on the level of infection and some questions that we don't yet know. First, they're trying to figure out exactly how much faster it spreads than Delta. It appears to spread faster, and how resistant it is to what level of vaccination. So those are two questions for how many people will get it. Other set of questions is how sick does it make you? Because it can still do a lot of damage even if it makes you half as sick, but infects twice as many people. And so it's going to be those two levers that will ultimately tell us where we're going. Also, the amount of therapeutics and vaccinations and boosters we're getting right now will impact that as well. I mean, it looks like if you've had both shots and a booster, if you get that, you're less likely to get it. And if you get it, you're probably going to be okay. I can't imagine that having both shots won't put you in a better place if you get it, about how sick you get in whatever spectrum of how deadly or how sick that it makes you. If you are unvaccinated, you've probably gone through Delta. It's been awful. And it looks like this thing can come right along behind it and reinfect you. So, I mean, please get vaccinated. If you've had Delta, I hope that it provides some level of immunity to you. But after what you've been through, why in the world risk that if you can get a series of shots that ultimately help you out? Corinne Boyer, WEKU.
Hi, Governor. You mentioned a couple of challenges authorities are facing, like FEMA going door to door to houses that are no longer standing, and the need for family members of people who are missing to submit DNA. How are authorities responding to those challenges? And then there's some concern among communities about people who are undocumented staying in state parks. Is that a concern they should have? Thank you.
Anybody who lost their home, we want to have a place to stay. Listen, if somebody has got kids and all of a sudden have absolutely no place to stay, I want them to have a roof over their head. So we're going to help people out at state parks that lost their home. How we're responding to the challenges, we continue to spread the word, which is the main way, to family members and across the region. Spreading it across the state is really helpful too, as they check in on people. The His House Ministries not only can also take phone calls about missing individuals, as can sheriff's offices and others throughout the region. So we know there are likely some other folks out there. We want to know about as many of them as possible. Most likely, that person that you think is missing is okay, but we can connect you to them. What was the other challenge? We'll get you an additional response if you need one. Hannah Saad, the Paducah Sun.
Thank you, Governor. I was just speaking with some of the residents in Mayfield, and I was wondering if there's any statewide initiative to help folks who maybe lost their cars or don't have ways to get out to resources if they live kind of far away. Is there any statewide, or are you aware of any private organizations that are providing transportation assistance?
We're working on that piece. In the first several days, our goal was safety, security, planning. But yes, transportation is going to be important. If you see what this thing did to cars, they're most likely not going to be salvageable either. I do know that there are adjusters, if you are insured, that are on site, that are there. We do want to try to streamline that though, for people. And then, we've had folks reaching out about other things that they can do to help. We're going to be trying to connect some of those resources. Certainly we can title a new or a used vehicle for folks as they replace it at any of these facilities that we're setting up. I mean, these folks don't have a driver's license likely. Their last car title, they're going to need to turn it in. They're going to need a new one as well. So that point's well taken. And transportation. Right now, we've used school buses to get people from shelters to state parks. Last question, Grace McKenna, WHAS 11.
Sorry about that, Governor. I'd like to pivot back to COVID for a quick moment, if we could. Coming up on the holiday season, I know we were all concerned about surges during the holidays last year. Could you talk about the role of the booster, in helping to prevent some of those surges, especially as we see Omicron starting to spread inevitably to Kentucky, like you mentioned?
Yeah, Christmas is supposed to be a wonderful, special time where we celebrate a life. And life itself, salvation, what is good in mankind, the hope. And then we have a new year where we make resolutions to be better, where there are new chances. They are supposed to be wonderful, hopeful, life-affirming holidays. And last year they were deadly. We lost a lot of Kentuckians through the spread of COVID-19 during those holidays. This year, we don't have to. Last year, you couldn't be fully vaccinated, or it would have been very hard to be fully vaccinated by Christmas. This year, everybody can be. And this year, we have a booster as well because waning immunity is real. I believe the largest single factor in what type of surge that we are going to see over the holidays and into the beginning of the year is how many people get their booster. If you do it, you're pretty well protected. You'll free up that hospital capacity if it comes in a crunch that others will need. So please, for the holiday season, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, go get vaccinated. Even if it's your first shot, go ahead and get it. It'll help. If you've been fully vaccinated and it's time for your booster, go get it. Don't wait until after the holidays. Go get it as quickly as you can. And then just think about the way you're holding your holiday gathering if everybody is vaccinated, if everybody is boosted, and those that aren't. Really consider masks while you're inside and close together. That protects everyone, and maybe just have a slightly smaller gathering than you did last year. Listen, we can do that safely. We can wear a mask in a gathering if it's needed. We can have a slightly smaller gathering because you know what? We're pretty blessed, especially when you look at a whole bunch of people that don't have homes in Western Kentucky. So, everybody just try to protect one another. We've seen horrific loss of life. We've seen destruction at a level nobody has ever seen. So I see the outpouring of love. Take care of each other. And we'll continue to update on services, on loss of life, and on how we are going to dig out. We're not broken. We will rebuild, and we'll get through it, and we'll get through it together. Thank y'all.